Okay, this is a birds of a feather, meaning we're all together in the weather. Flocking. Flocking? Oh, I thought you said something else. I'm sorry. I thought he said cocking, like when you're putting a bathtub in. Talking together. Anyways, anybody in here now that was not in the first half of the session? Okay. Sure, yeah. We would like you to sign in on a sheet that's up here someplace, and that would be your name, email, and reason for your tardiness. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Someone just asked. We are going to, Don Wood from Lumac Records and somewhere in Alaska that sounds like they brew beer there, right? Close, yeah. From Olympia, Washington, is going to take those who wish to learn Square View along with file management questions and how do I download it and oh my God, where did it go and all that good stuff. And that's going to be in this room here. Are you going to go outside?
I'm going to go outside.
I think I'm
outside.
Yeah. How many people are going to be taking advantage of Square MP3? All right, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I will take CSDS and Dance Master. And DM, yeah, I'll just, whatever you got, bring it out. So I'm kind of thinking that what we'll do is we'll break apart and let's see what time it is right now. It is 4:03, okay? So why don't we get back in here at, say, 20 to 5? Enough? Okay. 30 minutes? Okay. Okay. Return here at 4:33 and 45. Come in here about 20 till. Okay. All right. CSDS, Dance Master, DMM, Square MP3, his master's voice. I'll just walk out that door and we'll talk to you out there. That portion will not be recorded. So this section will be recorded. Would you occasionally mention we're out in the hallway so they don't think?
Sure.
Yeah, right. Okay.
We threw Rick out.
And we're going to leave Don Wood in charge, and that's
scary, scary, scary. There's handouts for this in that segment right there, and there is, again, let me reiterate, every seminar, all the handouts, everything is on a $5 thumb drive. It's the price of the drive. You get the drive and everything, you keep it. Okay, so it's a good thing, and it helps out CALLERLAB, and that's always a good thing, yes? So we're here to talk about how to configure SQView, and I get lots and lots of questions. So, yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about Android. Okay, so we have a gentleman right here who's been with Thomas for a long time. I have too. I go back to his original SQView, and I've been a beta tester and, comments back and forth. We're going to talk about the newest version of SQView that has 3 columns, if you want them. If you want them. If you don't, you can have 2, because there's an option for that. You can have 4. There's an option for that. So, let's get started. I want to extend my thanks to Thomas Baronhead, who has provided this program for free. And this is not to be in deference with Cedar or any of the others, because their programs are also marvelous. I just happened to choose this one. Yes? Yeah.
Turn it on. 3, 1, no. Just to make Dennis Farrar, Sun City, West Arizona, just to make a point of what I mentioned in the last breakout session when I said make sure you turn your computer on airplane mode or turn the Wi-Fi automatically off. I just got a notification from HP Update. Would you like to update any of your software and drivers updates now? If you have, and you have them on automatic, and you have your Wi-Fi activated, it could lock up your square view, or it could just start updating, and you're right in the middle of a dance. You could be in deep trouble. So
most of the laptops today in this environment have a switch on them called airplane mode. You gonna call a dance? Put it in airplane mode. Okay. So again, I wanted to thank Thomas Bairnhead, who put this program together. I also want to say that Dave Wilson's program and Vic Cedars' program and Digital Fine, they're all fine programs. Most of them do similar things. I just chose this one. Okay? And it doesn't mean to say that the others are less. You make your own decisions there. As I said, I've been involved with SquareView since the beginning. So I've helped Thomas out. Thomas has helped me out. And as a record producer, for a man who gives us so much for free, all I do is make sure he gets my comps. And he's never asked for them, by the way. Let's discuss some important topics. Your laptop and you. Again, for the purpose of this demonstration, we're going to use Windows 10, and we're going to use SquareView. We're going to talk about... CSDS is a Cedar Dance system. Outside. We're going to talk about current folder structure. We're going to talk about setting up your music files. We've done a little bit of this in the first one. We're going to talk about installing SquareView. And we're going to talk about laptop and tablet settings for SquareView. SquareView is a calling program that's maintained by Thomas Bairnhead, and it's available at www.sqview.se for free. It comes with 9,700 downloadable cue sheets. That in and of itself is worth its weight in gold. For the purpose of this demonstration in this talk, I want to make the assumption that you and your laptop are friends. Okay? This is not to say I won't help you, but but I want to make sure that you're comfortable with your laptop, because that's another segment. Okay? If you've downloaded the latest copy of SquareView, it's going to be under your C users downloads directory. So every user on your laptop, C:\/ whack users whack Don whack downloads is where all this stuff is located at. You're going to utilize File Explorer to locate the compressed file where SquareView is located. How many of you already have SquareView installed? Okay, so I don't need to tell you how to install it, correct? The latest version is, I want to say 6.7.3? 9. That's right, 9.12.4. So I'm not going to go through your folder structure where to put SquareView. Put it on your C drive under the root directory. I do hope that you have on your C drive a SquareView directory, and I hope under that directory you have a music folder, an MP3 folder. I would hope you build one, okay, and put your there's your SQView folder. You see it right here. And now we're going to go under that. And we're going to create a music folder under that. And it's labeled MP3. Because that's what we're actually playing with. And then under that, I create two other folders. I create three for me. But I create the Hoedowns folder. I create the other music folder. And I create the singing call folder, because I need my music separated. In SQView, you will also find a folder called Lyrics or Text. You pick. I happen to name mine Lyrics because I like it. So this is your folder structure as it should appear when you're done. If you do it my way. You pick. You can do it your own way. I don't really care. But this is the one I'm going to talk to. You're going to navigate to your C users, your name, downloads to the SquareView folder in the zip file, and you're going to extract everything to there. And if you know how to do it, you know to right click on the folder, and you know that it'll say extract, and you navigate to where you want to put it, and you put it there. Once we have that, let me skip ahead a little bit. I want to get into the meat of this thing. Because a lot of the times I have to actually get down to where, how do I create a folder? I've had people ask me that. Okay, well, this is how. So, here's your latest view. It supports 3 or 4 columns if you want it to. And it looks like this. Well, that might be my color and your color and everything else, but I want to talk about some buttons and things right now. So the question came up, what's this guy right here? That's the loop button. How many of you have created a pattern music that's 10 and 20 minutes long? Well, people do that. And you ask yourself, why? The loop button allows this thing to loop over and over and over. And these 2 little guys right down here, the start and the stop, allows you to tell it when and where. So if I want it to loop at a certain spot, I'll listen to the music, I'll play it up to there, and then I'll hit that start the loop here. Then I listen to it all the way down at the end, and where I want it to loop back to that spot, I put stop the loop here. Yes? You see these 2 buttons right below it? I thought my screen was there. Oh, why is not my mouse showing up? I don't know. Yeah, I wish I did. Yeah, it starts at a default. You could set the default, but actually, if you want it to be right, you want to listen to the music and find a natural loop point. Okay, so I want to loop on a downbeat at a phrase in the music that's a good spot to start. And then when I want to return to that spot, I set the lower one, and when I hear that beat, then I hit the loop button again, and what it does, it plays that segment between those 2 time frames. Yes? I do. Because not all pattern records are the same. By choice. I listen to the structure of the music, and if it says to me on beat 26, that's where I should start my loop, then I start my loop there. Yes.
Just to
State
make
your
sure,
name, please.
Gary Baker from Spokane area. Just to make sure people understand, you're not changing the MP3 file.
Not at all.
When you make changes in SquareView like this, so your file is still there. You haven't done anything to it. These are just settings that you're changing within SquareView.
So the most important button to you right now is, if you see up on the top the little blue button on the side, it says save. You got to save it. Okay?
Don, that is for our Sun City West. It also, I believe, has a default loop.
It does.
In the options, so you can set default loops for everything. And if you don't like it, as you play it, you can change it.
Right.
But make sure you save it after you change it.
It comes installed with a default loop set.
15.
Yeah.
15, yes.
So it's your choice. Yes, sir. Mike, please.
Elmer Claycomb from Custer, South Dakota. Can I dump myself out of the end of the patter without losing? Because what always like to do, I can hear the end of that patter coming up, and I want to use that end right where it
You
should
can
be.
reach over and uncheck that loop, and it'll play all the way to the end.
Okay, does that, if I've saved it before, can I go back and have that same
Yeah,
loop
once
again?
once you've created the loop,
Okay,
it saves it in the database, and you hit saved. It saved it in the database. And when you uncheck the loop, all it does was remove the looping function. So if you want it to end, you want to end on the last beat of music, I assume. So you uncheck the loop and away you go. And I believe I have to look back, but I'm pretty sure there's a hotkey for that. Well, I realize that, but I'm saying once I've saved it, once I know where my loop function is and I'm getting ready to end my patter on this one, if I hit the L key, it removes the loop and allows my patter to run out. The next time I load the song, and we're going to get into this, how that loop appears, we're going to get into it in the configuration because you have to do some things to make that happen. Every time I load that song, that loop's going to come up and it's going to be where I set it. Okay? Yes.
Chuck Simpkins from Grants Pass, Oregon. Now, when you're looping your songs, you can loop it as many times as you want. Okay, you can loop it up to 5 times if you think you're going to go through that song 5 times. Okay, but it takes a little knack. You might have to listen to your song 4 or 5 times before you get that loop exactly where you want it.
Yeah, that's a work in structure in progress. It's not something you do on the fly. You sit home, you work with your laptop, and you're setting up your patter records. And one of the things you pick is the loop point. If you want to. If you don't, leave the default. It's perfectly fine. Yes, sir. Mike, please.
When you're saying save, I see reset, and then it looks like a little drive here.
The one that's,
this is your save. Now,
yep.
If I click that, what shows up?
What happens is it saves it nothing. It saves it to a database. That save button, let's talk about it a little bit. You want to control your music. Let's say you don't like the key that it's in. Okay? If you hit a control, or if you hit the D button, that takes it down a half step. If you hit it twice, it takes it down a full step. Once you've done that, if you said, that's where I want to sing this song at, that's my key, you reach up, hit the save button. Okay, and now it's saved. Every time the song comes up, it's coming up down a full step. Yes, another question.
Michael Fetting from Anger, North Carolina. I always use the pitch instead of the key change. Is the key change better than using the pitch and the tempo?
I think if you look, that's going to change when you use the pitch. The tempo is a different subject. The tempo is the beats per minute the song plays.
Right.
So this doesn't take the tempo down. E and R does that. E brings the tempo down, R brings the tempo up.
I apologize. Shouldn't have said tempo, but I used the sliders, and that's what I was trying to emphasize.
Yeah, the slider is a lesser version. I prefer the hotkeys. It's just I can do it on the fly.
But you're saying that the key change will definitely change the pitch, though.
It'll change the pitch, where you start at, and the fun thing about it is, let's say you're at home. Let's say you're practicing this new singing call, and you realize that it doesn't sound right in that pitch. I'm saying, so I reach up and I hit the D key, and it takes it down a half step, and I'm still singing the song. Not right quite. I hit it again, and I'm still singing the song. So now I know it belongs down 2 keys, down a full step. I reach up, hit save. It doesn't save it at that point. It saves the whole song. So when I start it up again, it's going to be -2. I should add also, don't be afraid to go up a half step, because up a half step for you can bring your octave down to the song.
So basically, it's Joe Gonzalez, Clovis, California. So basically, it's you finding your range on that song when you're moving the key up and down.
Yep.
Okay.
And tempo, the national tempo is 126 to 128 beats a minute. Don't get caught up in all of that. The tempo is what the song dances at a good tempo. I just put out a new song, 7 Spanish Angels. It's at 116 beats a minute because that's where it dances best. Okay? Not every... No. It's where I know where that song dances best. When I put out a song, you know it's been on the floor lots because I want it to come out as the dance tempo that it's good for.
Helen Halley, Portland. Regarding the pitch, is there a plus or minus where the pitch becomes distorted or the song becomes distorted?
Yeah, in any case, you can go up too far or down too far, and it does start to become distorted. I've found that 3 either up or 3 either down, it's pretty close to the original song. If you don't want to do that, there are tools available. Some of them are not cheap. I use a program called Studio One Professional. And when I change the key in that, I have no distortion. But I got $1,000 wrapped up in the program. I'm not sure you want to do that. Squareview will do it there. Goldwave has the ability to do it. It's not going to be as good as my SQ Pro or my Studio One Pro, but it has the ability. So does Audacity. So you might want to look at those as well. We need to get a little bit further. So we're going to talk about these 3 keys right here, these 3 down here. The first one you see on the left, this is your hoedowns folder, and we're going to define it by the manila folder in the middle. You see that? That's the hoedown. That's where you're going to navigate to tell Squareview where your hoedowns are located. If we go to the next one, that's where your singing calls are located. Okay? And the third one is if you want to do line dances, if you want to, some round dance cuers use it. If you want to do rounds, if you want to do any of that stuff, you can put it in the third one. And we're going to talk something about one of the programs in here called Music Jukebox, which I use a lot because, for example, at home when I'm teaching lessons on Monday nights, I have a bunch of kids, and they like to line dance. So I throw my line dances in there and just turn it on and let them fly between the tips. And they're out kicking up their heels and having a good time, and it makes for a good show. So, let's talk about the other button. See the blue one? On either one of them, they're on the left-hand side of each box, there's a blue one. No, not that one, the one over to the left. Playlist. I talked about that in another seminar. Playlists are the way I plan dances. I can tell you what I did for a club in Portland 10 years ago because it's in my playlist. So let's say I go back every year and I do a club called the B&Bs. I do their Halloween dance every year. I don't want to do the same songs over and over and over. So I identify in the playlist, and actually I go back 3 and 4 playlists to see what I did. So I can come back then and create new songs for that year. And I keep a folder on my laptop that's called Dances. And then under that folder is every club I've ever called for in the last 20 years. And under there is every dance that I've done, and it comes up in an M3U format, which it means it will play in a Windows Media Player or whatever the case may be. But it's also viewable in a Notepad text file. I can open it up, I can see what I did, compare what I did, and pick what I want to do next. And there's a section in Squareview when you open that up, it's called Playlist Manager. And I don't know if I'm going to get to that yet, but we'll see if I can. Yeah, it's under Tools. Okay, and I'm talking about the buttons that control the display and the lyrics and play. And people tell me, well, I can't get lyrics on play, and I don't know why. Well, 2 reasons. Number 1, you haven't pushed one of these buttons. Number 2, and if you push them, you see where the X is, where the line is through the far right one? The red line? That means I don't want to play lyrics there. Where the line is not in the middle one, my singing calls. I want lyrics there. And in the hoedowns files, I don't have any lyrics for those, so I have that X'd out too. So I'm not trying to find a lyric every time I turn around. I only want it on that middle one. I want to get into some of the other things that are important. Once you have installed SquareView and the program, you should have an icon on your desktop to initiate it. A shortcut. And it will bring it up, and it's going to look like this right off the bat. It's empty. It doesn't know where your music is. We have to teach it. So again, I'm going to go to those folder areas. We're going to begin to configure here. You see that folder button I talked to you about? Right there, it should come up. Right there. That folder button is how I tell where my hoedown's at. Right across on all three lists. The next one's singing calls, and so on down the line. What becomes more important is when I get into the configuration. Each one of these list boxes are configurable in the configuration of SquareView. I get to start with, so when I'm done, it populates and it looks like this, or you may have different colors, but those are configurable. Yes. Yep. Exactly. Now we're getting ready to configure it. This is done through the options menu of SquareView, and I'm going to show you where that's at here in just a second. So if you look up where this red circle appears, that's the options menu. And we're going to talk about the music options. In the music options, there's a drop-down box. Looks like this. And there's a whole bunch of things in this drop-down box. Whole bunch. I can configure the colors. I can configure the location, because I'm going to tell it in here where my location of my music files, etc., and everything is. More importantly, I get down in here, and we're going to talk about a thing called bass buffer. Okay? If you've ever been in SquareView and somebody told you your record skipped, it's because your bass buffer's set wrong. It comes out, I forget what the default is, it's 900 and something. 800, okay? You want to set that buffer to half of your physical memory. So if you have 4 gigs of physical memory on your laptop, set it to 2048. That goes in, and that also is one of the things that will hang up SquareView if any other processes start running, like a download or whatever. You need to tell it that this is my buffer for SquareView. So make sure you set that switch to 2048. Again, it's on the music options folder, and it's down at bass buffer, and you can see, and it's a selectable parameter over on the right. You don't have to type it in. You can go down into that, or you can simply type it in. Yep. And you all know that we're talking in bytes, right? We're not talking in, you don't put in 1,000. You put in the natural configuration of bytes in memory. So 1024 is 1 gig, 2040 is 2 gigs, and so on and so forth. Now, here's where we're going to configure our list boxes. So the first list box is where I keep my hoedowns. So you want to make sure when you go in here and you start configuring list boxes, you see that circle on the right that says hoedowns? It has 3 options in there over on the right if you press it. One of them's hoedowns, one of them's singing calls, and the other one is all types. If you don't configure that to hoedowns, that loop box that we looked at doesn't show up because you don't need to loop it. So if you configure this to hoedowns, I now have a loop box. Okay? Second one, you configure the singing calls, because we're going to tell the singing calls what to do with the lyrics when I start them, including auto scrolls. So you don't have to sit there and go page down, page down, page down. The music will scroll through as you're singing. It's not karaoke. Doesn't highlight anything. All it does is scroll through it, so you don't have to sit there and do page downs. And we're getting into list box 2. Again, we go into there. I tell list box 2, that's where my singing calls are. So when I create that playlist that we talked about earlier, when I create that, all it does is create a pointer to the song in my location for my music. It's just a pointer. It doesn't move anything. It doesn't copy anything. I'm not creating an extra set of files. I've watched people over the years create multiple sets of files of their singing calls because they didn't know how to use a list box. Didn't know how to use that playlist function. So you don't want to have 10,000 copies of one singing call. What you want to have is a bunch of M3U playlists so that you can define. I have them that define theme music. I have them that define special occasion music. I did a dance the other night, was a Rat Pack dance. I now have a playlist for all the Rat Pack songs that I own. So if I ever go back and do that again, I have them for rock and roll, I have them for 50s, I have them for 60s, but more importantly, I have them for every club I've called for in the last 20 years. Every dance that I've called for them. One of the biggest compliments that I ever get from dancers is, your music is always different. I never come back and hear the same thing over and over, the same old tired 12 songs. The reason that is because I track all that stuff. And if you think after 25, 30 years of this stuff or longer, I prepare for every dance. I don't wing nothing because I'm too old. I can't remember. So I just make sure I prepare it ahead of time. It's really simple for me. And we go on to list box 3. Yes?
Mitch Pingle, Colorado. My weird question is, if I want a column for hoedowns, a column for singing calls, and because I'm one of those weird people, a column for contras, which I want to loop, do I have to call the third one?
You're going to call the third
hoedown?
one hoedowns.
Okay, thanks.
And of course, we're talking about list box 3 now. It's okay to go into this area and play with the music settings because you have an option to always go back to the default. You can always get back to the default. But what I say by playing with the music settings is you might want to change your colors. You might want to, maybe you want a 24-hour clock up there. Maybe you want to have all the markers in place. If you use them, it's fine. Play with it. Just do it at home before the dance. We're talking about, this is another one that is problematic for some people. Have you ever clicked on the song, expected the lyrics to come up, and nothing happens? That's probably because you have this setting set to PDF and you don't have Acrobat Reader loaded on your laptop. Best thing, set it to HTML. That'll always work. Every cue sheet that Thomas puts out is put out in HTML format. Yes, sir. Mike? No, sir.
One of the things I did find out, especially since I gravitated from Winamp, from my previous mentor, and it will open up a JPEG up into another window, but as you were saying, it's better to go HTML. Yeah. And opening up into another window for JPEG is terrible.
Your auto scrolls don't work. There's just all kinds of things. There's a lot of pretty pictures. So what I have taken doing is I have some of my record producer friends that send me their music and I look at their cue sheets, their cheat sheets, and if it's not in HTML format, I put it in HTML format. How do I do that? SquareView has the ability to edit an HTML file. So I go over in Word and I create a Word document that says, this, and I highlight where, just like Thomas does, where he highlights all the stuff. When I'm all done doing that, I copy and paste that. I go over to the edit side and I open up a new document, a new HTML document in SquareView Editor, paste it in there, save it as a file name, put it in my lyrics directory, and I'm done. And I now have one that actually works, scrolls, and does all my other stuff for me. When you get down in this, you're going to find this thing called scroll speed. That's up to you to play with, because everybody might like it a little different. I'm getting so long in the tooth, mine is slow, because I got to look at it 3 or 4 times. I don't memorize it the first time out. But you can play with it and set it to what you want it to be. It's under the music option, and there's one called auto scroll. So when you open up your music options, and I'm going to try to do that here in a minute with the live view of SquareView. Yeah, I'm going to do some things online, but I've got to get the find software thing to talk to it. Yes. Okay, so let me see if I can't. This is a function F10. This is the first time I've actually set this laptop up with multiple screens, so. Yeah. Function, what is it on this one? F8.
Is it in the handout there?
So we're going to bring up SquareView. And we're going to go into SquareView and we're going to look at options, lyrics, okay? And if you come down in lyrics, you're going to see this thing called auto scroll cue sheet. I've got mine set to 150 and 1. But that's when I play the cue sheet, when I play the music, it automatically scrolls through the lyrics. I've got my font set to Comic Sans MS, and it gives me the size. So somebody mentioned today that you got to make the cue sheets bigger. No, I don't. This does it for me. So I don't have to go make them bigger for you. All you have to do is have them in HTML format, and I set what I want it to be. So it's as big or as small as I want. Yeah. I talked about that. Let's just bring one up. Let's bring this up, and I'm going to do that and that. And you see, here is a cue sheet. If I want to edit said cue sheet, I go right here, and this one's a little screwball because I haven't got that up there right. But I want to do that. Maybe I want to put the rest of the lyrics in. Maybe I want additional lyrics. Right here's where I do it. So I go in here and I set other lyrics that I want. And then I go back and I just say File, Save to File. It's going to ask me where do I want to put it. I'm going to say Save it there. It's going to say, do you want to play this the next time I open that? And the answer is, of course I do. Yeah. So answer it again. Of course I do. So now the lyrics come up that I want. Question again.
Mike Fetting again from Manager. I haven't left. I have periodically have done the edit in the HTML through the SquareView, and I'll say save, and I close it, and when I go back in it and it opens up, it's not there. Now, sometimes I've had to close SquareView completely out and then reopen it. Sometimes it's saved in there, but sometimes it's not. Why?
Okay, so let's go back to. Let me get out of this. And I want to go back to your tools and your lyrics.
While you're doing that, Don, I've had experiences occasionally where the song starts to play and the lyric doesn't come up. If you hit the space bar twice, it'll pop in.
Okay. And I want to go back here because in lyrics, do you see this section right here? This is where I've told SquareView my lyrics are. You need to set that. I'm in lyrics under tools, lyric, or options lyrics. And right here where it says path list box, I'm telling it where it's at. That's okay. So mostly, I've never had a problem with the edits because I say save to file. And then I tell it if it's a new one. Say, for example, I've taken, and I do this, I cheat, I gotta tell you guys. I cheat a lot. So I'm doing a song. Let's go, here's one of mine. And I play it, and I stop it, and there's the lyrics. You see that? I'm gonna go edit. So I just did a new song called Seven Spanish Angels. And it's under Lumac, and it's Lumac 275. I go and do all the edits in here. Okay? And then when I save the file, I save it as LM275, and it tells me, or asks me then, do you want me to play this the next time South of the Border plays? And I say no. But the next time I bring up LM275, there's my new cue sheet. Okay? So most of the time, Thomas has got this done for you. Most of the record producers are providing you an HTML cue sheet, but some of them aren't. Some of them are giving you graphic JPEG files. They don't work so well. So what you want to do is create your own cue sheet if you need to.
Steve Ashkenazi, Houston, New York. Word documents. I think I missed that.
So SQView will read PDF, rich text format, RTF, or HTML. My preference is HTML. Okay? So you can put it in a Word document. You can save it as a single file, or save it in Word as a web document, but you're getting an MHT file. If you save it as a single file web page, you're getting an HTML document. That's what you want. I prefer to bring it in here because even though I format Word correctly, it doesn't always show up here when I just put it in there as that. So I prefer to go in and pick up a file that I've already done, edit it, and put it back in and save it there.
Even on brand new music?
On brand new music, if I get a file, if I get a set of files from Rick Hampton, I love Rick, and he sends me something that really isn't got all the information I want, in fact, it's not even in an HTML format, it's an RTF, then I change it, and I put it in my system in HTML with all the information that I want. I want to know who the caller was. I want to know what the label is, and that's primarily because I get a lot of comps, and I really appreciate that. When I get the comps, I want to give credit to the producer when I'm doing the song. So I say, hey, this is Rick Hampton's latest, Freebird, and you guys ought to really listen to it. It's really good, and give him a little credit. Sir, we have another question.
Rick Manning, Westminster, California. I have converted all of my RTF files to HTMLs because I found that when I brought some of them up, the font, the colorations disappeared completely.
Exactly.
So please save them to HTML or even a PDF, whichever.
I'm really loving this, so thanks. In this portion, when you go in there, you see how some of them are highlighted, the yellow or the light,
yeah,
whatever, sand? I have tried doing that through here, and I am not
You can't
successful.
do it through here.
Yeah, I have to
Take
go
it
through
into Word and do it in Word. You can duplicate that, the little format painter in Word, super tool.
I've used Microsoft Expression.
Okay, but whatever, but it'll put your highlighting in there,
right, so
and then you copy it back, and some of this is simply the way the background is set up.
John Kephart, San Antonio. Reference to the highlighting. You could actually, let's take the word south of the border. You could highlight that, copy it, put it and paste it on a different line, and just start typing what you want to type.
Exactly.
And it'll put the highlight in there for you if you don't want to go through the rest of the rigmarole. That's the option for you. And that's what I do a lot of.
So
thank you,
let
John.
me, real quick, have I got any other questions? Okay, I want to take an opportunity to thank you folks for listening to me dribble on for this period of time. My email address is dwood196@comcast.net. I'm going to take a copy of your stuff home, but I want to make sure, so if you attended this seminar, send me your email address, and I in turn will send you 2 Lumac records for yours and yours to keep and play, and I hope you like them. My choice.
We do have another question. We have a couple of other questions, it looks like.
dwood196 at comcast.net. And if I get your email, you will get another email in response from me. It says it's coming from hightail.com with a link to download your files. And you can tell me if you'd prefer patter or singers.
Carol Weekland, Omaha, Nebraska. Since
Hi,
you're
Carol.
in Squareview, hi. Would you show us how you pull up that list of playlists for your last 20 years?
I sure will.
And then would you also show me what it looks like when you open it as a Word type file?
I will.
That's the part I don't
Okay,
get.
so let's go back. Let me get out of this one. And I'm going to go back to my music. And let's say I want to know what I did for, and I'm going to open it up here, and I'm going to say, well, that was my Rat Pack song once. Well, let's do something different. Let's go back to SQView and dances. And where are you from? Nebraska. I don't think I've called to Nebraska. Okay, how about Albuquerque? And I want to know the singing calls I did in Albuquerque. There they are. That's 2004. There are the singing calls I did in Albuquerque in 2004. Okay? So, let's go say, I'm going to put this down for a minute, and I'm going to go back into my dance folder. And that's why it helps to know where everything is at. Squareview, dances, pick a club. Let's say the B&Bs. I do a lot for them. And there's B&Bs in 2013. Right-click on it and say Open with Notepad. There's the text file. So, and I've had this happen to me. I've had other computers, and I go in and I say, on my little guy, my little bitty one that I carry when I'm doing other stuff, I go into it and I have all that on a D drive. Well, I want to have the same songs, or I want to have something. I come in here and I simply go in here and I say edit, replace, and then I type D colon on top, C colon on the bottom, and it updates my file to tell me everything's on C now. So it's a real quick way to do that. I don't know. Yeah. So the other thing I wanted go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think one of the other things, Chuck Simpkins, Grants Pass, Oregon. One of the other things you haven't touched on was marrying lyrics to your songs.
Let's talk about that. So, one of the things that is the most important thing you can do today is label your songs correctly. The song needs to be labeled one of two ways in Squareview. You can name it South of the Border dash LM272, or you can name it LM272 space dash space South of the Border. Yeah, and that's what's in your lyrics folder, okay? So when SquareView looks for this. You highlight the song, and I start the song. It looks in the lyric folder. It's looking for that. Otherwise, you're going to spend a great deal of time in the database that says marry the lyrics. And basically, what's that doing? On one side, it puts up all your singing calls or the numbers, and on the other side, there's a set of lyrics. Now, if your singing call is labeled my favorite singing call .123, and you know that's really south of the border, Lumac 272, you're going to have to marry that. Okay? I don't want to do that, so I find it much, much more beneficial to properly label the song. And there are a bunch of free renamers out there. So you can put all your songs in and say, name it this, whatever the case may be. It's a tedious process, but once you do it, if I buy a song from this guy, he sends me a song like this great song, Freebird, he just did. I love it. If he sends it to me, what's the first thing I do after I download it? I rename it. So it's now FT whatever in my singing call folder. Is no longer this little bitty short thing with a V he gives me. So I avoid doing the major work, but I will tell you that all of the callers that I've helped, that's one of the biggest problems. They don't have any clue what their songs are named.
Dennis Farrar, Sun City, West Arizona. I'll start off by saying I'm a local guy. If anybody is local here and needs help with SquareView, I'm more than willing to help you with it. What I found out when I was trying to marry things, I spent a ton of time trying to marry, like you say, manually. I found out when I started using SquareView not only on my computer but also on my smartphone, it does not like the apostrophe for don't rock the jukebox,
right,
or don't make it brown noise blue. So you eliminate the apostrophe. Just eliminate it.
Yep.
And in more cases than not, about 90% of the time, if you name your lyrics at the top what it is, and you've pointed to that in your marriaging, it'll find it 90% of the time automatically, and you won't have to manual marry it. But I'm here to help you if you want to help.
Okay, Rick says we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, it's sad. I think that... What?
Yeah, he is that.
It's me. I know that, speaking for myself, I'm sure Don and Brad would be happy too. But if you got questions, tackle us in, if we're in the bathroom, don't. But or at the bar. Okay? But if we're just sitting there looking thirsty,
Dennis had the right idea.
I'd be happy to do that. Anyway, so this was the Birds of a Feather continuation of digital music at the 44th CALLERLAB convention in Mesa, Arizona. Today is, I should have done this at first. No. Today is State the Date. And this is the name of the session, I Am Your Name.
I do want to say one other thing. I just want to say this to you because I know that music is expensive and we all have a lot to do with it. Visit my site. I sell 15 song packs for $75. You won't get it cheaper than that. And you can't pick the songs.
For those mathematically challenged, that's $5 a song. That's a pretty good deal. I'll tell you that.
We have on our site, just if you're just starting out, I know Wade's got one of these too, but it's complete library. It's a little to over 200 songs, and in my case, it's $349 for the whole thing. And that's on all three labels too. His is cheaper.
Before we wrap up, I do want to say one thing. Well, this was the digital music presentation. Today is April 11, 2017, right? And the moderator's name was Rick Hampton. My name is Brad Caldwell, and the other panelist was Don Wood. We want to thank you for attending this. We hope it has been beneficial to all of you.
Yes,
but I want to say a special thank you to Rick and Don for offering up free music. I don't record. I record for somebody else sometimes, but I don't. I'll just go buy. What is it? Two songs, about 80 80 pieces of music from something. No, I'm not going to do that. I like you guys. I don't like you that much. But I think we need a big hand for Don and Rick for offering that perk for attending this session.
So if you have laptop here today, come see me and I can give you the stuff from me today. If you do not, and by here today I mean here somewhere in this hotel, okay? If not, you need to also send me an email to producer@finetunerecords.com and say I attended both sessions like a good little person. Yeah. Good call. Good little caller. There you go. Anyway, I was at both sessions, and I'll give you a couple of pieces of music, and maybe, might be one label, might be the other label. If I know you, I might stiff you.
I just wanted to add one more thing on this. Yeah. I just wanted to add one more thing on this. I want to thank you all for your support of CALLERLAB. And for me, that's a pretty big thing because I've been an ACA member also for 25 years. I belong to both organizations, and I'm here to tell you my goal is to build the bridge. So we're all working together because this activity is so important we can't afford not to.
Notice there's 2 ACA members. I'm also a GCA member and a CALLERLAB member. That means I pay a lot of dues.
Yeah. So thank you for coming. If I can help in any way, feel free to ask.
And Rick was going to give his email address
and
one more time.
My email address for Fine Tune, Goldwing, and Sharpshooter is producer@finetunerecords.com.
If you want my email address, you're welcome to it. I'm not sending you anything, but I'll give you my email address if you want it. It's calledonewell@live.com. And if I ever call another good dance, I have to change it.
All right, and if you got your laptop here, we've got about 10 minutes, so get up here. And yes, I'm going to boot yours up so we can fix that.